Hey, good morning. It's Thursday, October 7th. Thanks so much for being here this morning. We're continuing in our series on communication, and we're now focusing on the words that we speak. We talked about the heart attitude. We talked about having a spirit of love that 1 Corinthians 13 urges us to. And then we spent a few videos on being an epic listener. And now we're talking about the words that we speak. And last night we began to get into thinking about the words that we speak and the controlling direction from Ephesians 4, which gives us these guidelines to don't speak any rotten words. And a rotten word is something that does not build somebody up according to their needs in a way that they perceive that they've been benefited and blessed. If your conversation isn't doing that, the Bible calls that rotten words. Now, I'm going to add this morning to the idea of something that makes our conversation difficult and causes relational smoldering, if you will, for long periods of time. And that's about anger. In the thumbnail this morning, you'll see a picture of logs that are smoldering. And that's what happens when anger gets introduced into our conversations. If it's in our thoughts, it's in our feelings, that is going to produce itself in our words, which produce long-term relational damage. James encourages us to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because man's anger will not produce the righteous life that God desires. So even if you feel justified in being angry, that anger will not bring about anything good except more damage. Now, I've talked other times about the place for righteous anger, but if it's my anger, it's not going to be healthy. The Proverbs, which is the Old Testament wisdom literature, is in the Proverbs, New Testament wisdom literature is in the book of James. The Proverbs in chapter 15 give us amazing insight into the power of anger. And we're going to talk about very soon about how a gentle answer shuts off anger and averts it, and is a good thing. But a harsh word, an angry word, stirs up anger, keeps it going. The idea in the Hebrew is that it builds it, keeps it building and building until one day it just erupts. And again, if you think of this thumbnail, when you see these smoldering logs, there's not a big flame there at the moment, but if you toss in something that's in there, a piece of paper or a small piece of wood, and poof, the thing just explodes with fire because it's so hot. Well, long-term anger produces that simmering, smoldering attitude inside of someone. And then one day they just seem to erupt for no reason. Well, there's a reason connected to it. There's a reason connected to that emotional outburst. And that's because angry words have fueled that upset, have fueled that smoldering. If we want to be about peace, if we want to be about bringing joy and stability to our families, we need to be on the lookout for anger. Paul warns us very strongly to fathers and to parents. Don't provoke your children to wrath or to anger. Well, how do you do that? You do that by not speaking words that are helpful to them, but speaking words that produce that simmering, smoldering spirit within. But not words that are not sensitive, not about really being helpful and to where their needs are, but just expressing what my opinions are. At the beginning of Proverbs chapter 18, we get these words that are very chilling for me and anyone who speaks with authority. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but delights in airing his own opinions. And you see, we only want to get our point across. If I can just get my point across, everything will be fine. See, that's selfish, it's not helpful, and a lot of times it will produce this smoldering anger. Anger is not something that is your friend. Anger is never justified in terms of trying to help someone or build them up. A firm word, yes. A stern warning that is given in love, yes. But anger that is fueled by my upset, my frustration. Why can't you just do better? Or if I may not be saying that, but internally I'm thinking, what's your problem, dude? Just get to work. And I'm ignoring the underlying cause. I'm adding to that smoldering fire. And then one day a little piece of kindling just happens to touch it, and we get this vast eruption. Anger does not go well with communication. Anger does not go well with discipline. Anger does not go well with building relationships. Anger does not go well with building trust. Thankfully, we have got a ton of biblical data which shows us how not to go that route. And we'll start looking at that tonight. But this morning, I just wanted to emphasize the danger that smoldering anger presents in our lives, in our relationships. And perhaps if your relationships are peppered with upset and frustration and outbursts of anger, give some thought. Maybe you're the one contributing to that smoldering pyre of fuel there that kind of erupts. And then we can begin to embrace what Paul tells us about speaking words that are helpful and what Solomon tells us in Proverbs, that a gentle, soft answer turns away that wrath. It can turn into something beautiful. Instead of, as verse 2 of chapter 15 says, gushing forth more folly and just adding fuel to the flames. So that's the thought for this day. Give that some thought. And then tonight we'll be able to turn on a little brighter road and encouragement. We need to lay this foundation, though, to understand the damaging role that anger has. Again, thanks so much for being here this morning. It's always a great pleasure to be with you. If you haven't subscribed, please turn on post notifications. These videos will come to you automatically. Check us out at everydaytalk247.com. There's a really good growing resource section there for you. Love your comments and feedback. It's so encouragement. Thank you for all of you who are supporting. And again, Lord willing, we'll see you tonight and be done with that smoldering anger. You have a great day. Bye-bye.